played the original Legend of Zelda for the first time ever in 2024. Yeah, The Legend of Zelda is one of my all-time favorite game series to play. I've been playing it since I think I was in middle school, and I don't think there's a Zelda game that I genuinely dislike altogether. However, there are 3 Zelda games I've yet to beat. Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild being 2 of them. For obvious reasons, those guys are very long. But I think it is a war crime that I haven't beaten or even played the original Zelda game that came out in 1986 on the Nintendo Entertainment System, better known as the NES. I vividly remember the very first Zelda game that I ever played, ever, was The Legend of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures on the GameCube. That was a weird first Zelda game to play now that I think about it. Anyway, I decided that I needed to atone for my sins, and I called up my good friend Erica, the GOAT, and we decided to play this game with her assistance. And boy, that was extremely needed, and it ended up turning into an emotional roller coaster to see where one of my all-time favorite game series started, and to see how far it's come. So, without further ado, let's delve into my first ever experience with The Legend of Zelda, the original. Immediately when you spawn in, you have no weapons and no way to defend yourself in the dangerous world of Hyrule. So, what do? A few paces up and to the left, there is a cave with an old man that says possibly one of the most iconic lines in all of video games.
It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
This, to me, was one of the first steps to creating an effective gameplay experience because this area kind of acts like a safety zone. There are 0 enemies here, just your curiosity and a lot of green to guide you. I feel like if you spawned anywhere else, and I mean anywhere, then that wouldn't be all too great now, would it? It gives you a certain type of comfort knowing that you can defend yourself from the creatures that roam Hyrule and in the dungeons below. We'll get back to those in a minute. One of the most effective things I immediately noticed in this game is that there are 0 dead ends. This world is just like a ginormous playground. And it's sure, you can walk into areas that have 0 use to you, but other than that, every corner is packed with adventure and danger. It shows you overall that there is much to explore, a lot to find, get upgrades you can for your sword, buy bombs, a bow and arrow, and find a boomerang to better protect yourself. And overall, just these factors combined made exploring this world so much fun and actually very much so worth exploring. The music in this first game is absolutely magical. I've heard these amazing hits before, but experienced them in the game whilst fighting moblins, octoroks, tektites, I don't know how to pronounce those, levers, and many others was, I don't know how to fully describe it. That sure as hell hit very differently from listening to the music at the bus stop with a sketch pen in hand waiting for the bus. Then you're actually fighting the mobs and trying to fight for your life in the game. It hit really different and in a good way. The overworld was probably my favorite place to hang around. Probably because I was an absolute noob at the combat system and it was good practice. But it was mainly because of the music, let's be real here. However, where one might find joy, you might find a problem. I couldn't progress in the game just hanging around the overworld, zapping moblins and other monsters left and right. I eventually had to tackle the dungeons. But boy, I have heard horror stories about the dungeons, and I was anxious to see if they were true. The dungeon theme reminded me a bit of walking into a classroom where I had to sit next to a bully who absolutely hated me. It was honestly kind of scary walking into the dungeons for the first time. I also got stupidly lost incredibly easily, as I usually do. Thankfully, I had Erica to say, "Yo, Embur, you're meant to go that way," and I quickly corrected my mistakes. But holy smokes, that was very nice of her, and once again, extremely needed. Because, let's be honest here, I had no idea what I was doing, let alone what I was even supposed to do. After getting lost for over 15 minutes, I finally made it to the first boss, which I had no idea what the heck it was called, but according to my sources, this dude is called Aquamentus. Not what I was expecting at all, to be honest. I surprisingly beat him on the first try. And man, I did not see that one coming, because I am not at all someone who beats bosses on the first try, unless it's like the very early game, first few worlds. Which kind of explains it now. It usually takes me around 4 to 5 tries, so to beat this boss on the first try, even though it was still the first world, or dungeon, area, whatever, man, I was feeling pretty dang good. Real quick tidbit about the bosses here, these bosses were actually some of the best and some of the hardest in the 1980s games I'd seen. With Mario, it's just Bowser with different reskins and different abilities. With some of these bosses, you have to be creative and work out a way to beat them. Whether it be getting a stronger sword, snatching a few heart containers before you go willy-nilly into the dungeon, zapping moblins left and right, having the boss eat a bomb, or just zapping like crazy. I did a lot of zapping, let's be honest here. So, fighting enemies in the dungeon is actually pretty difficult. Well, I got some bad news for you, buddy. Fun fact, you're not much safer in the overworld either. Avoiding danger is one of the biggest things you gotta do in the entire game. There are times you may stumble upon some pretty powerful foes that you're just not ready to tackle and are better off taking another path to get around them, or just do what I stupidly did and tackle them head on. Some enemies require a stronger sword, or you're really taking a chance with the teensy-weensy little sword you got. In other words, you gotta get a better sword. But first you gotta get more heart containers from another dungeon. Yeah, I have no idea how I would figure that out in any plane of existence without Erica. Ironically, I complain a lot about fighting monsters, but I think that this is one of my favorite parts of the game. Something about beating the tar out of the monsters and making them disappear, and especially if they were giving me trouble when I was on one heart or figuring out how to be a difficult boss battle. It felt really good to finally overcome the challenges in front of me and to be able to continue forth. One thing I did have to learn very quickly was that rushing into things wasn't a good thing at all. I learned that very quickly after I got real humbled in the 5th dungeon. Rushing had worked for the last 4 dungeons, so I stupidly thought this was going to be a cakewalk. I was in for quite the reality check. I got to this one-eyed creepo, and I waltzed in and I realized something. Oh fuck. I have no plan for attack and I might be cooked! Thank goodness, I just happened to have a bomb. I placed down a random bomb and there it went! And I did it! I did it! On the first try! I actually beat this boss when I thought I was gonna be absolutely toasted out of sheer freaking luck. However, oh boy, my luck did not last too long after that. I especially realized this in the final dungeon of the game, at Ganon's battle. Despite me having a very hard time dealing with Ganon, he was probably my favorite part of the entire game. Battling this blue pig who later gets a major glow up was actually really fun. But boy oh boy, did he give me some trouble, which I still have not beaten to this day. After 17 attempts and getting absolutely mocked by Ganon over and over and over and over again, watching tutorial after tutorial, I finally threw in the towel, handed it over to Erica, and she beat this dude on the first try. I'm still kind of salty about that one. One day I shall return and defeat you, Ganon. One day. Anyway, it was cool to see the fruits of my labor, and Erica's, and see the ending. I had done it with Erica's help. I had beaten the Legend of Zelda. Except for the final boss fight. I couldn't have done it without Erica, literally. She supplied the game, she supplied moral support, and she beat Ganondorf after me failing 17 times. So, some of you might be wondering, Why is this title a sentimental classic? Well, this game is something that I've wanted to play for so long, and I had a dream of playing it with my brother, but unfortunately, that dream never came true. I ended up getting to play it instead with the guidance of one of my best friends on the entire planet. It is a memory that I will forever hold dear to my heart until the day I die. I never thought I'd be able to play this game, and I'm glad I went back to one of my favorite video game series roots to experience the magic of this game with one of my best friends. Hello there, and thank you so much for watching until the end of the video. If you ended up liking what you saw in this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and maybe check out all my other videos. Huge thank you to all the other people who helped me out with this video, such as Lufinus for doing the thumbnail, and Duplighost for voicing the old man. I greatly appreciate y'all's help, and y'all are amazing, and thank you so much for helping with this video. Also, one thing I forgot to mention, all footage in this video comes from Carrera Lover and White Sea Sunny. Their links will be down in the description below, along with Lufinus and Duplighost. Also, just a heads up, even though it's a holiday weekend, there will still be 2 voice videos on the weekend of Thanksgiving. So yeah, be sure to look out for those too. Everyone take care, and I'll see you in the next video!